Hello, we are at the Leade.rs conference and we are talking with Paul Papadimitriou, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Hi, Paul. We saw a lot of your panels today at the event, especially the latest one, which was about startups and in the emerging markets.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what you think is the ecosystem in the emerging market for startups.
Well, it's the reason I'm involved in emerging markets is because I like first going to emerging markets because they're fun. They're exciting, they're fresh. Mature markets, when you know a market, when everything is almost like so well organized, and not all Western markets are well organized, but well organized, you know it, and there's no surprise. And I think innovation usually comes from surprises. Innovation comes from stuff that you wouldn't expect, right? So emerging markets are very interesting. The other thing is, of course, that I chase growth. So I want to find growth, and growth is clearly nowadays in emerging markets. Whether you talk about China, Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, South America, Africa, obviously, these are the growth market. So that's why I'm involved in the kind of technology. You can find everything. You can absolutely find everything in emerging markets. I've witnessed, for instance, in Eastern Europe, since you're based there, witnessed the emergence of a few ecosystems. In Poland, for instance, when I started going there, maybe 8 years ago, and there was really almost nothing. It was mostly software alleys, and it was really very small. And then suddenly, of course, Poland is a big market, but because of the integration in the European Union as well, obviously, suddenly grow and people stack together, the quality of people, they start creating community. I know it's a fluffy word, but actually, simply meeting together and talking together, and then creating ideas and divergence, and that create more innovation. And I think this is a process that we see happening at different levels in every single country I visit. Some countries are still very young in terms of nascence of the ecosystem. Some countries are becoming, like Poland now, slightly more mature.
Oh, sounds great. And what do you think about the hardware component? Do you think it's a nice to have component for a new startup?
Well, hardware is hard, first of all, right? Hardware is not... First of all, if you're interested in hardware, you have to once in your lifetime visit Shenzhen, just north of Hong Kong, because it's probably where everything is being built. It's like Akihabara in the 80s in Tokyo, where you could find any type of hardware component. You go to Shenzhen, tomorrow you can find 10,000 pieces of X component that you need. The problem with hardware is, of course, first it's more capital intensive compared to software. So do you need a hardware component? No, I don't think so. However, I think hardware has a lot of potential right now. I'm not saying that there's no more potential in software. On the contrary, when you think about artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc., they are still like a big need without a hardware component. But hardware has a huge potential, and what we see right now is the very, very, very early beginning. Like basically putting software in every hardware piece is really the early start. So there is a huge potential there.
Yeah, sounds good. And talking about new stuff, what do you think about personal medicine, the new trend that we saw, and there are a lot of devices that you can attach to your phone and you can do all kinds of tests. What do you think about this?
I think we're in this beta testing period, and we see a lot of funny stuff coming up. Not everything is very interesting. Do we really need? So I recently bought an electric toothbrush, and I can actually put something on the mirror, and it's connected with Bluetooth and tells me where I've been really well brushing my teeth or not. Well, it's a bit of a gimmick, right? Maybe some people will use it. I've actually used it once to try it because I always like geeky stuff. So if you have your hair dryer, I don't clearly need no hair dryer, but if your hair dryer is connected to your phone, is it actually useful? I think some of these things is a bit fluffy, but there are other stuff that is very interesting. For instance, having potential discovery of health issues you might have simply by, for example, breathing in front of your phone, or of course, heart rate monitoring. The stuff like that is way more interesting because you can learn and receive more data about yourself, and then maybe over time learn about potential health issues or simply how to better your lifestyle. So these are things that I think are interesting. So not everything is interesting. Some stuff are. I think, however, that for the beginning we'll see a lot of failures there, a lot of great funny products. A lot of them will fail, especially those that are crowdfunded, because I think usually that fails very quickly. But over time, like every market, a few of these products will emerge and will create an entirely new market and will stay with us.
Okay, and talking about the future, how do you see the world from a technology point of view in about 10 years from now, which is a lot?
Yeah, that's a great question. It goes faster than we believe. That's the thing. And if you look at how people thought about self-driving cars, if you just think about 3 years ago, people will say, "Oh, self-driving cars, 2025, 2030, we might have the first self-driving cars." Well, we almost have the first self-driving cars today already, right? You can Tesla, if you live in California, you can basically almost drive home without touching the wheel for the whole time. It's not fully self-driving here, we know that, but it's going there faster than we think. I think that some stuff are going faster, some's not. We're not changing as fast as human beings, but technology around us will move faster. I think we'll have more connected devices, that's for sure. More and more stuff will be sensing around us. Passive sensors, they will allow us to have more efficient and easier lives. Whether it's mapping, whether it's simply getting to know about yourself. We just talked about health tech. I think these type of things will evolve rapidly. So in 10 years, will we fly with cars? Not yet, but we'll clearly have more potential. But the one thing that is more striking, I think that our personal life will clearly change. I think the smartphone will remain the central units command in our pocket. It might be augmented, of course, with mixed reality. I think mixed reality, not VR, but mixed reality will be a very big component where you see layers of additional information in front of you. But the biggest impact will not be, I think, on our personal life, but our business life. I think that's where disruption will happen. For instance, we just talked about self-driving cars. I think the biggest wave will first come for self-driving trucks. There's already been trials in Europe, trials in the US, where a truck comes from Bratislava to London, self-driven, because it's easier. Highways are easier to actually simply follow than are the small streets in Geneva or London. So this, I think, the disruption will happen there. That will impact us. So we will have probably a feeling that stuff is changing, but I don't think it will be Blade Runner yet.
Okay. Do you think we'll have a lot of drones around us?
I think it's interesting because I work a lot with the airline industry. So our drones will be more, last mile delivery, obviously, but this is especially for remote zones. So of course in countries like Australia and the US it will be more interesting than Europe, which is more clustered. But drones, I've had a panel you might see about home security drone. That would be one of the applications that could happen faster than we think. But there will be other stuff like simply, again, for businesses, couriers, so delivery stuff, or having, I work in the airline industry, so they were able to, when the pilot comes out between turnarounds, so when, EasyJet is waiting for its new passenger. The pilot is supposed to go around the plane to just make a visual look if it's good or not. Now EasyJet and ANA have tried that with drones. The drones are coming up. Atlanta Airport has mapped the entire airport with drones. So instead of having people having to map it with lasers, drones do it by themselves. So I think, again, industrial applications will come first, and we'll have a little bit more of drones, which will create, of course, an entire new industry of having to deal with almost air traffic control, drone traffic control, because so there will probably be regulations that allow some routes where to go, and also companies that will create software that allows these drones to follow a certain path. So we'll see. Will there be like all around us? Probably not in countries in Europe where you live and where I live, but probably in some emerging markets like Southeast Asia for delivery, we might see there's lots of traffic. Maybe drones will be more visually seen all around us in 10 years there.
Okay, sounds really good. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks so much. I appreciate that.